Steve, I'm going to start off with letting you know I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and I'm a little nervous because Brian Kelly's turning that thing around pretty quickly at LSU. What are your thoughts on Marcus Freeman, the job he's doing? I know it's early, a couple weeks in. What are your thoughts on the direction where that program's heading right now?
Well, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I love Notre Dame, too. I was actually at the game this past weekend against UNLV, and, the good side of it is that they won. The not-so-good side of it is that they didn't look that great. They're missing something right now in terms of just energy and confidence and enthusiasm, that kind of stuff. And I love Marcus Freeman. I think he is going to prove himself. They're going to give him the time I think he needs to get this thing figured out. But it's going to be a learning process for him. And I think there's going to be a few more difficult, tough days for Notre Dame fans to watch throughout the rest of this season. One of them might be this Saturday. They're playing a good Syracuse team and followed up with a Clemson team coming off the bye the following week. So these 2 weeks, I'm very concerned. If we can get through these two, at least winning one of them, I'll feel better about things. Obviously, if they can win both, that'd be amazing. I think it's kind of a pipe dream. But I do really like Marcus Freeman. I do think there's going to have to be some changes made to the coaching staff moving forward to shake things up a little bit. And, he's so young. He's 36 years old. It's going to take him a little while to kind of learn and figure out how he wants to place the focus and the emphasis in building his program. But I really do like him, and I think it's going to work out, and I really hope it does.
Steve, want to go over to the NFL with you. The Bengals the last couple weeks have started to look like the Bengals again, the team that we saw make it to the Super Bowl. What have you seen from their offense specifically the last 2 weeks, and why has the Burrow and Chase connection started to click and do what we saw them do for so much of last season again?
There's a lot of different ways you could go with that. I don't know exactly what to put my finger on as far as the reasoning behind it, but that offense just got too much talent, and that quarterback Burrow he's proven himself time and time again that he is the real deal. And I think all of us knew that it was just a matter of time before they got that thing clicking. The key for them is going to be keeping him healthy, keeping him clean. And that was the big issue last year, was just trying to minimize the hits to him. I think the O-line has really played better the last couple of weeks. And I think Burrow is maturing as a quarterback, starting to realize that to be truly successful in the NFL as a quarterback consistently, you can't always try to force it into one guy, that one guy being Jamar Chase. Last week it was Tyler Boyd stepped up as well with the big touchdown early, and I think he ended up having 8 catches for 155 yards as well. And so you establish a second and third guy in that pass offense, it really makes it tough on a defense to take away any of them. So as Joe matures, he'll continue to start being able to identify the best matchup for each and every situation, and that spells trouble for whoever they're going up against.
You talk about quarterbacks and it being a quarterback-driven league. Don't tell Brian Dable that, because he's found a way to have Daniel Jones with very, very little help on the receiving side really win games with just a handful of plays. What do you like about what they're doing, and why can't defenses stop the Giants when they run like 3 plays?
Well, I don't know if that's an accurate assessment of the number of plays they're running, but I do know that the transformation that's taken place within that organization is absolutely phenomenal, and it starts with Daniel Jones. I mean, you could just see his confidence growing. He's stepping out there in the field with a purpose each series. He's got the look in his eyes that you look for. Last year it was more kind of the deer in the headlights look. This year it's a very confident, poised look. They've been down in several different situations late in ball games, and he stepped up and made the plays either with his feet or with his arm to pull the game out. And, as you all know, every team in the NFL is very talented. They're all very talented. But if you get to the point where you start believing that you're really good and that you can win and that you should win, that's where the line is drawn. The good football teams all walk out there on the field with the belief that they should win that ball game. The teams that have doubt are the ones that find a way to lose games like that. The teams that are confident, they go out there believing they're going to find a way to get it done. And each time they do it, they get more and more confident. So that's a dangerous team right now, 7-1, and they're not afraid of anybody right now. So, I'm excited to see what's in front of them.
Steve, it's very rare that you see a quarterback improve his accuracy just throughout his career, especially in one summer. We saw it last year kind of with Josh Allen, who is right now on another level. But Jalen Hurts really looks like he improved his vision, his accuracy, and looks really good right now. But do you trust him, moving forward in these big spots in the playoffs, because the Eagles look like the team to beat in the NFC? If he does have to throw the ball down the field and make some plays with his arm, what are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles this season?
Well, I trust him until he gives me a reason not to trust him. And, he's another guy that he just seems to have really elevated his overall level of confidence. And I think that comes from preparation, comfort in the system, understanding exactly what the coach calling the plays is looking for, being on the same page when the play is called, knowing exactly what you're looking for, what you're expecting out of the defense, and then executing and making the right decisions. There are a lot of people, myself included, that had a lot of questions about him coming into this year, but his consistency week in and week out, and when he steps up to the podium after the games, you can just sense his confidence growing, and he thinks he's pretty good right now. Now, obviously, we know that at some point this year, the odds say that he's going to go through some adversity, and he's going to, kind of be knocked off that pedestal to some extent. The question is going to be, how does he bounce back from those situations that are inevitably going to come throughout the course of the season? But, the consistency and also the ability to just step up and make the key plays in the games where maybe he's not playing his absolute best, but making the plays that he has to make to get the game back under control or to win the game. I've been really impressed with that. So I think he's made a big jump this year. It's hard to do what he's done over the course of 6 or 7 games. At any point during the course of a season, to do that consecutively is hard to do. So I'm starting to be a believer in that kid.
Steve, we saw on Monday night Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi both play for the Patriots. It appears that Jones is going to get the start against the Jets this week. Do you think Belichick and New England are playing a dangerous game a little bit, going back and forth between the quarterbacks? Mac's starting to look over his shoulder every time he makes a mistake. Do you think they just kind of need to stick with him the rest of the season and ride it out? Or do you not mind giving Zappi an opportunity if Mac Jones continues to struggle and see if he can lead the Patriots into the postseason?
I really believe this is one of the worst coaching decisions that Bill Belichick has ever made.
Wow.
I couldn't understand it when it happened, and I still don't understand it today. And of course, we're not going to get an explanation out of Belichick. So the bottom line, whether he believes that he screwed that up or not, I think it all points right at him. He created this situation. Mac Jones, if you're going to start him, and he's coming off that injury, if you're going to start him, you got to let him play, and you got to let him play through it. You don't give him 3 series and you have one unfortunate play and you pull him out, because that just creates all this conversation that we're caught up in right now, that everybody's caught up in right now about that situation.
Right.
I think he's got to make a statement going forward that Mac Jones is his quarterback, and we'll see how this thing plays itself out. But he created this mess, and now they're going to have to live with it.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. I know you were pretty high on Russell Wilson coming into this season, and it feels like things just haven't quite worked out the way that Denver wants. I can't really tell how much you can put on Nathaniel Hackett, how much you put on Russell Wilson's injury, or just maybe on Russell Wilson declining as a player. What are your thoughts just kind of on him this season and whether you think things are going to turn around?
I think it squarely goes on Russell Wilson, and you got to give Nathaniel Hackett a little bit of the blame, I guess. But truly, this is a really, really disappointing situation, to say the least, at this point. I really felt like that this was going to be a perfect fit for Russell Wilson and for the Broncos. They've got a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. They had a lot of talent at the running back position too, until Javonte Williams went down with that terrible knee injury. But the defense, the overall perspective of that football team was on the rise. If they could get some kind of consistency out of the quarterback, I believed, like everybody else, when they signed her to that massive deal, the extension, that they saw the things they wanted to see after him, showing up there. But to me, I did feel coming into this season that the past couple of years he had declined a little bit and maybe lost a little bit off of his fastball. But I still thought that this new situation and with his other unique abilities that he would be a very effective quarterback and would not hinder this team. But he has been the problem on this football team. He's making bad decisions. He's missing open receivers. I do think that there's been a lot of times where I've seen a clean pocket and him going to an open receiver and the ball just doesn't get there. It's either off target or it doesn't have the zip velocity to get there. And his deep ball hasn't been as effective as it usually has been. So you can't blame that on the mile-high air. You can't blame it on anything other than he's just not producing. And hopefully for the Broncos, this week off, getting his hamstring back healthy, maybe get his head right too and come out with some confidence and start making some plays for that team because they need it desperately.
Steve, we only got about 90 seconds because we have a hard out, but and I know this is kind of a complicated question, but do you expect Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, I mean, I know they're getting a little bit older, but do you expect both of those guys to figure some things out, especially Rodgers right now? He looks off with the deep ball.
Yeah, I feel better about Aaron Rodgers than I do Tom Brady, and that's weird to say, I know, with Tom Brady, but I just think with all the distractions and all the things going on in Tom Brady's life, it's starting to show and catch up with him, and the fact that he's 45 years old. You cannot forget about that fact that we all maybe took for granted the last 5 or 6 years. But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way. He's still got his fastball. He's still got the ability to make all the throws. I think the Packers will find a way to get back in the mix in that division. I'm not so confident about Brady with his physical ability and with the different things that are going on in his life right now. We might have finally found the beginning of the end for Tom Brady.
Steve, thanks so much, man, for giving us a couple minutes tonight.
Great stuff.
Talk again soon, hopefully.